Pennsylvania freshman John Fetterman was the first of 31 senators to say Senator Robert Menendez should resign from the Senate after he was indicted for the second time in his Senate career. Every senator demanding Menendez's resignation is a Democrat. Of course, no Republican is calling for Menendez to resign because they want a vivid example of criminal corruption by a Democrat to remain in focus while the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination is facing criminal indictments in 4 jurisdictions. The case against Senator Menendez has only gotten worse since the Senate Democrats called for his resignation. Prosecutors brought a superseding indictment, adding charges against the senator last month. On the day the Menendez indictment became public, New Jersey Congressman Andy Kim said the senator should resign. The next day, Congressman Andy Kim announced that he's running against Robert Menendez for the Democratic nomination for Senate in New Jersey. A poll of likely Democratic primary voters shows Andy Kim now leading Senator Menendez 48-9. Joining us now is Democratic Representative Andy Kim of New Jersey, now a candidate for Senate. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Would you have considered running for Senate if Senator Menendez had not been indicted?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And to answer your question, no, it was not something I was planning. You know, I'm a father of a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, 2 little boys. I try to spend as much time as I can with him. The idea of doing a statewide campaign was not top of mind. But it's because of my kids that I feel it's so important right now to step up and do what we can to restore integrity into our politics. And I do feel like there's a hunger right now to fix this broken politics. And I think about, what kind of America are my kids going to grow up in? And I hope that that's something that a lot of other people feel right now. And if they do, I hope that they go to my website to learn more at andykim.com.
What are you getting from people in New Jersey about their attitude toward the Menendez indictment? New Jersey has seen more than its share of indictments against politicians, including a previous indictment against Robert Menendez that ended in a hung jury.
I hear from people that are in similar place to me, which is just, we're at a breaking point here. And that's why I jumped in, is I just hit this breaking point where I just said, enough. We just can't keep doing this. We had a recent survey here in New Jersey. 84% of people here in New Jersey believe that their politicians are corrupt. And nationwide, we live in the time of the greatest amount of distrust in government in modern American history. We cannot survive as a democracy if we're just eroding this kind of trust and having this lack of faith in our elected leaders. I had a former boss of mine when I was in national security at the State Department that said, you don't have good government unless you have good people working in government. We have to take a step now to restore that sense of integrity, that sense of trust. Otherwise, I don't think that our democracy is going to be able to be the kind of strength and resolve that it needs to be.
In addition to not committing federal crimes, how else would Andy Kim be different in the Senate for New Jersey?
Well, look, I'm somebody that's been a public servant my whole career. I'm a public school kid, a son of immigrants. I'd be the 4th youngest senator in the entire country at a time when there's a hunger for a new generation of leadership to step up. I'd be the first Asian American ever elected to the United States Senate from the entire East Coast of the United States. I'm somebody that comes with that national security background in a career capacity at a time when we have a war in Europe, a war in the Middle East. And I'm somebody that really feels earnest about my desire to serve. I've done now about 70 town halls in 5 years in Congress. I'm leading the charge. I'm trying to fight against corruption and make sure that we can step up in so many different ways. So I hope people see me as someone who's battle tested. I'm a Democrat that won a district that Trump won twice. In 2020, I was one of only 7 Democrats in the country to win a district that Trump won. So I can build coalitions, I can build bridges, and I do feel like I can be someone that can unite the party and put forward a new face and be able to have that fresh start here in New Jersey.
Congressman Andy Kim now running for Senate in New Jersey, giving New Jersey voters an option. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.